Hey everyone, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling a tricky one, stress. You know, that silent enemy we all deal with. And you specifically asked for some help with this, right? You sent some really interesting stuff for us to really dig into.
And you're definitely not alone.
Yeah.
Lots of people struggle with this. And you know what? I'm really glad you're interested in practical stuff. Because let's be real, who has time for anything else? You want strategies you can actually use.
Exactly. No theory here. We're all about action.
Yeah.
And one thing that really jumped out from what you sent, it's how sneaky stress can be.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like, it's not always this big, obvious thing, right?
Right.
The stuff you sent, it talks about how even everyday things like a crazy work day
Oh, yeah.
or just family stuff.
Family stuff is the worst. Well, not always, but,
You know what I mean? Or even just, and this is a big one, even just the pressure we put on ourselves.
yeah, absolutely. It's like we're carrying around this invisible backpack.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we get stressed, something else gets thrown in there, and we don't even realize how heavy it's getting until, boom, we're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And we often think of stress as like this big thing, right? Like some major life event.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's often the little everyday things that really wear us down over time, and it's pricey. Because not all stress is bad. So true. Like some stress totally motivates us, gets us going. But then there's that other kind.
A bad kind.
The chronic kind, the kind that just sticks around. That's the stuff we really need to watch out for.
Totally. And speaking of watching out, the material you sent, it also talks about the health impacts of all this. And I'm not just talking about feeling frazzled. It mentions headaches, fatigue. Can you unpack that a bit? What's going on in our bodies when we're stressed?
So basically, our bodies have this ancient alarm system, right? It's called the fight or flight response.
Oh, yeah, the caveman response, like fight the tiger or run away.
Exactly. And it's super helpful if you actually are facing a tiger.
Not so much in traffic.
Right. Not so much in traffic or at work or, just dealing with life. But the problem is our bodies haven't quite caught up to modern life. So they react the same way to a stressful email as they would to an actual threat.
Wow. So we're basically hardwired to freak out over deadlines and to-do lists.
Pretty much. And all that freaking out, it triggers the release of hormones like cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, that can really do a number on our bodies.
Yeah. So that's the connection. Cortisol is the culprit behind those headaches and fatigue and all that.
Exactly. And that's why managing stress is so important. We've got to find ways to tell our bodies, okay, chill out. This email's not a tiger.
Easier said than done.
Right. It can be.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here.
That's why we dive deep. So we've identified the enemy, this ancient stress response that's not so helpful in the modern world. So how do we fight back? Okay, so how do we fight back against this outdated stress response? Luckily for us, the material you sent, well, it doesn't just point out the problem, it's got solutions, actual practical things we can do.
It does. And it's not about joining a monastery or anything.
Yeah. Phew. My meditation cushion is still in its packaging.
No, it's really about simple, manageable techniques, things anyone can do to shift how they experience stress.
Okay, I am so ready for this. So the first tool in the arsenal, and I love the way this is phrased, it talks about meditation as a mindful reset.
Yes, love that.
Right, it just makes it sound so approachable. So tell me, what makes meditation such a powerful stress buster?
Well, think about it. Our brains, they just weren't built for this nonstop world we live in, right?
It's true.
We're constantly bombarded, information, news, notifications. It's like our brains never get a break. Meditation, it gives us a way to step off that treadmill, even if it's just for a few minutes.
It's like that pause button we all need sometimes. And what I appreciate about the material you sent, it emphasizes how this doesn't need to be this big, intimidating thing.
Right. You don't need to be an expert.
Like it even mentions that just 5 or 10 minutes can make a difference.
Exactly. Even short meditation sessions can have a real impact on those stress hormones we talked about, cortisol. So it's not about becoming some kind of meditation guru.
Yeah.
It's really about making that mental shift.
Okay, I like it. Small change, big impact. So what's next on the list of stress-busting tools? The material you sent, it also talks about deep breathing, which, I don't know, it seems kind of connected to meditation, but also its own thing.
Yeah. It's like they're definitely related, right? But deep breathing, this is getting into consciously regulating your body's physiological response to stress. Remember that fight or flight thing?
Oh, yeah, our old pal, cortisol, always crashing the party.
Right. So deep breathing, it's like whispering to your system, hey, we're good. We're safe here. No need to panic.
I love that. It's like we can actually hack our own stress response.
Exactly. And the material you sent, it even gives a specific technique. The 4-7-8 method. Have you heard of this one?
I have, and I have to say, I appreciate that the material gives such clear, actionable steps.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, be more mindful, and I'm like, okay, but how?
Right. So the 4-7-8, you inhale for a count of 4, you hold for 7, and then exhale slowly for a count of 8.
It's so simple, and you can
Now,
do it anywhere.
anywhere.
Okay, that one I might actually remember. All right, so we've got mindful resets and deep breathing. What else? Seriously, sometimes I'm like, am I supposed to just like quit my job and live in a yurt? Like, that's not helpful.
Yeah, no, not helpful at all. Speaking of helpful, though, the material you sent, it also talks about this idea of just like stepping away from whatever's stressing you out.
Okay, so simple, but I've got to say, sometimes the most obvious stuff is the stuff we forget to do. Like, I'll just sit there hunched over my computer, feeling the tension building.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there. But our brains, they're not meant to be on all the time, right? They need those moments of disengagement. Like, think about it back in the caveman days.
Here we go with the caveman again.
Stress was usually a short-lived thing. You fought the tiger, or you ran away, and then you were good.
You could chill out and eat your mammoth or whatever.
Exactly. You had time to recover, to reset. But now, it's like we're constantly running from that tiger, except the tiger is, I don't know, a spreadsheet.
Or a family text chain.
Right. Exactly. So we have to build those pauses into our day. Because that off switch, we kind of lost it somewhere along the way.
We did, it's true. So what does stepping away even look like these days? Because honestly, sometimes I don't even know where to start.
Totally. And the cool thing is, it can be super simple. And it's really personalized, you know? What works for me might not work for you.
Right.
Like for some people, it's just about getting outside for a few minutes, getting some fresh air, listening to the birds.
Feeling the sun.
Yes. Or maybe it's putting on your headphones, listening to a calming song. Or just closing your eyes at your desk and taking a few deep breaths. It can be that easy.
Okay, that I can do. That I can totally do. It's about finding those little pockets of peace throughout the day, right? Moments of not stressing.
Yes, exactly. It's about giving yourself permission to take a break. Because stress doesn't have to run the show.
It really doesn't. Okay, I'm feeling empowered already. Seriously, if I'm hearing you right, what you're saying is we actually have way more control over our stress levels than we realize.
100%. I mean, we all experience stress. Part of life.
Right.
Right. But it doesn't have to control us. We have choices. We have tools. And we can use those tools to create more peace in our lives.
So it's not about never feeling stressed. It's about learning to manage it, about finding what works for you.
Exactly. It's a journey. Some days will be easier than others. And that's okay. The important thing is to just keep coming back to these strategies. Keep practicing.
It's like building those stress-busting muscles, right?
Yeah, exactly. The more you use them, the stronger they get.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I actually have some things I can start doing today. And I know our listeners are feeling it too. So as we wrap up this deep dive into stress management, what's one final thought you want to leave us with?
You know, if you had to pick just one thing, one small change you could make today to start taking back some of that control over your stress, what would it be?
I love that. It doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing. Even a tiny change can make a difference.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, we're out of time for today's deep dive, but we hope this was helpful, empowering, because you do have the power to manage your stress.
You absolutely do. Don't forget that.
And until next time, be kind to yourselves. We'll see you soon.